Good morning, and thanks for having me today. I'm excited to be here and talk about makerspaces. I want to be as engaging as we can possibly be on a webinar, so please grab your chat, raise your hand, ask questions. I'm going to have you do an activity, so I hope you got the note about grabbing a few recyclables. And so just a quick, let's see here, if I know how to forward this. I am with the Inspire Innovation Lab, and we're located in Moorhead. And we do, well, creative learning opportunities for teachers, students, and the community. But what that basically means is that we have a lot of messy learning. As you can see from our pictures, we are very messy. But we're also messy in terms of how we approach education and a very project-based learning education center. We are a nonprofit. We have many different programs from teen girls to after school to we work with school districts doing professional development, doing a lot of community outreach that the community plays a big part in everything that we do, and you'll see some of that as we go. So I try to get kind of everybody involved that I possibly can in education or roping them in to do things. And so that's just a quick bit about us. And so just let me know if you have questions or want to learn more about anything as we go. And I'm happy to answer that. So what I wanted to start with, I hope you guys grabbed some recyclables, like 6 to 8 things, some scissors and tape. I have here just some newspaper, some construction paper, I grabbed some feathers, a couple little wooden, I don't know, doohickeys, I don't know what they're called, a can, um, toilet paper tube or paper towel tubes, and toilet paper tubes. And my challenge to you will be, oops, I pushed the wrong button. There you go. I would like you to take the items that you have and make a self-portrait out of that. And so I can already imagine what your face might look like right now if I could see it. But I want you to dig into your creativity and your stuff and see if you can make a self-portrait. And we'll take about 8 to 10 minutes for creating. And if you want, let's see, we've got, there you are. I can see you. Look at that. That's awesome.
And she's wearing a green shirt because I am also wearing a green shirt today, so.
That's fabulous.
Someone's knocking on my door.
Like you. Christian. I can't hear you, but do you want to hold up your portrait? Oh, look at there. It's very colorful, happy, fun, and outgoing. And what's on the top? You're very happy. I'll just fill it in that you're just really, really happy to be here. And I don't know why we can't hear you. And it looks like you have hair on your portrait. A little bit of hair. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Shannon, I cannot hear you. Do you want to try to share your webcam? I have no idea. Oh, there she is. Now I can see you. I can't hear you, but I can see you. It looks just like you with the hat and the vest. pretty good drawing for not having any recyclables and just throwing it together. Yeah, it looks just like the picture in the back. That's fabulous. Does anybody else have one to share? And then otherwise I'll go on while I wait for Carmen's. When I get hers, I'll share that. All right, I'll watch the chat. Oops, I always want to just click on that. All right, so what I want to know is what did you think about this? And having some random junk and having to just create a self-portrait out of your random stuff that was laying around or the stuff that you had to grab quickly next to you. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? Was that a little bit intimidating or a little bit like, were you thinking, what the heck is she making me do? Or anybody have any thoughts? You can write it in the chat, or I think you can flip your microphone on if you have something. Yes, the other question is, why would I have you do this, and what does it have to do with MakerSpaces? Gearing up for summer reading, so you had stuff around. That's awesome, Carmen. Is it hard to get stuff? Does that seem like that's a barrier, or do you guys usually have a lot of random kind of junk laying around? Awesome. I also have plenty of stuff. I collect everything. And, you know, I think it's okay if you don't know what to do with it, because when you're working with kids, they will see something different than what you see anyway. Um, that's awesome. Did your students, Anna, make some self-portraits then? Or were they just laughing at, oh, they were laughing at you making yours and they wanted to try it? The first week of our after school, so every week we theme our after school program, and the very first week when school started was a whole week of About Me, and they were given cans that just had a bunch of random holes in it that our older kids got to put their own holes in, and the younger ones we had some pre ready to go, and we just had a bunch of junk that was laying around, and they worked and worked and worked and worked for days on their self-portraits, as well as some other things that they made. Carmen, I'm looking here to see if your email came up. I didn't hear it ding, but maybe that it doesn't do that, but when I'm online, but I'm looking. So what is a makerspace? Does anybody have any ideas of what you think a makerspace is already, or requirements that you think that you need to have, or what you've seen in the past? Shannon says an educational space for kids to explore, be curious, and learn through discovery. And I love, love, love that definition. Lots of technology available too. Anybody else have anything? I can hear somebody, but I don't know who it is.
Can you hear me, Christian?
I can.
Hey, look at that.
Feel
I got
free
her.
to, yes, feel free to chime in if you have some ideas of what you think or what you've seen or what you expect or.
Sounds good. It's double on up and kind of echoing, but I'll do my best. We'll move forward.
How do I show them? I love your picture, Carmen. It is fabulous. Let's see here. I have to see how I share that here while we're talking. I'm going to show a, oh, here we go. There you go. There's Carmen's, a picture of her. I love that you grabbed some stuff that is close by. And I'm going to fill in that must mean that you're super happy to be here with the big smile and the starry eyes. I love it.
It looks good.
Let's see here. I have to get back. I'm going to show a video it's just like a minute or something long on, yeah, it's just a minute. And I'm going to share that with you. And it's just a quick, what is a makerspace? Whoops. All right. I don't know how to get back. It's really good that I've got a tech person right here with me. The next YouTube video is playing in the background. There we go. Here, this one. There we go. All right, so when you did your self-portraits, did you do any of those? The exploring, the discovering, the creating, and the building? I love that you had somebody tell you that having a place to knit and make Scandinavian folded stars isn't a makerspace. And what are your thoughts? And we can ask that to the whole group. What are your thoughts? If you define a makerspace as a place to explore and discover and create and build, then would that fall under that definition? That's the definition that we use here. And there are a lot. Actually, I have a slide here coming up that I'll show you a couple of different types of makerspaces. But how about other people's thoughts on that? What do you think? There's a couple people typing. Oh, so if you're making something from a pattern isn't creating. How about other people? What are your thoughts on that? And when we have our kids here do something from, example, like from a pattern or a recipe or something, we might use that as a starting point, and then we try to get them to start creating other stuff on their own from that, and I'll give you some examples of that. Personally, I agree with the makerspace, but again, people have different definitions of it, and you'll find different definitions online as well. So for us, our definition is really about mindset. You don't have to have expensive stuff. All you really need is a place to collaborate. You need to be able to create something out of nothing. It's a place for people to explore interests. It's a place for kids and adults, honestly, to explore and try to find something that they're passionate about. A lot of them are high tech, but a lot of them aren't either. If you're really looking at just the mindset, then the stuff becomes a tool to build the mindset. And so I hope, does that make sense? So any of your high-tech gadgets and that sort of thing, really, if you think about that as a tool and that we're just really trying to get kids to a kind of a growth mindset, then pattern or no pattern, if that's the direction that you're going in, I would say that you've got a makerspace. And it absolutely builds self-esteem and imagination. So the benefits of that are huge, which Christian just started to talk about. I don't know how many of you are already using the engineering design process. There's been a lot of information and out on that. I think for us, when our kids are in the maker or are doing makerspace type activities, they just innately are using the engineering design process because they're making something and they're always improving. And they know when I walk through the room and they show me a product that they've been working on or a project that they've been working on and they tell me to come see their finished project, that I tell them it's never finished. Nothing is ever finished. We might run out of time or run out of time at the end of the week, but nothing is ever finished because they can always continue to improve, which is really what we focus on more, is that improvement versus, you know, a very specific final project. And for those of you that, well, I think probably everybody here is working with kids, if they're given the choice or the opportunity in about 10 minutes working on something, then they'll come and tell you that they're done. So that's why I went that direction with the, no, you're not, you're never done here. Of course, makerspaces then are going to build your 4Cs, your 21st century skills, your collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking. Without even thinking about it, you're building those skills without, it just comes, I guess. We do, for our projects, because we are so community focused, we have a lot of people from the community that come in, or we bring our kids out to the community to present their projects. So, and I'm going to show you some examples of the things that they've been working on, so hopefully that becomes more clear. For us, when we talk about STEM or STEAM, that's where our definition of messy learning really comes in. Is for the kids, it's messy because they're, walking on eggs, but for us, it's messy because we're living in a world that's not very clear cut in a definition. It's not a definition of increasing enrollment to a particular field. It's not exposing them just to art. It's really none of that. It's all of that. It's all of it kind of thrown together in a pot of how do we get our kids to identify something in the community and work through the process to get to some kind of an outcome. So that's our definition of STEAM. So that is intertwined with makerspaces. We have here at the Inspire Lab, we have a makerspace, but if I didn't tell you it was a makerspace, you probably wouldn't know that it was any different than any other space that you're in, because every space is full of junk and recyclables. Let's see. So how to maker a space and how do you even get started? You don't have to have a special room or anything like that. You need a place where people can be together. You need to hit a recycle bin. I ask everybody that I know that when they go to clean out their garage that they bring all their junk to me first. So I collect a lot of people's donated junk, and I think just about everything that we own here has been upcycled or recycled or donated, and a lot of garage sale finds actually, because we are very low budget. It's more about the mindset, which we've been talking about, and really honing in on creativity. So if that's all you really have to have in order to create a makerspace and everything else becomes a tool, then you all already have a makerspace and you're sitting in a makerspace right now, which I don't know if you would have considered where you're sitting right now a makerspace before, but I hope you will now. Here's what some people do. This might be more what you have seen in the past. Libraries at schools now have a lot of makerspaces. There's community makerspaces popping up, a lot of high-tech makerspaces. Those are the ones that you see more of when you're looking online or you're being exposed to makerspaces. Those are the ones that are going to have maybe a little bit more attention. Entrepreneur incubators, there's one up at NDSU that maybe you've heard of, and business startups. Those are all different types of makerspaces. And again, if you're thinking about just the mindset of what goes on within the makerspace, any space can become a makerspace. My kitchen at home has been a makerspace many, many times when we have been doing projects. What some people have, you'll see a lot of people that have 3D printers, laser cutters, robotics, electronics, lots and lots and lots of makerspace kits out there that you can purchase. You might see sewing machines, other gadgets. And my question for you is, if this is your impression of a makerspace, do you feel intimidated and wonder how you ever even get started? How do we work this? Somebody has their hand raised, but I don't know what that means or how to. Oops. There you go. When I've talked with people and talked with school districts, this is often the conversation that we have is, how much money do we need? Do you have a list of stuff that we should buy? Then can we have professional development, because nobody knows how to work this anyway? How do you put it in the classroom? And it can be so incredibly overwhelming, at least the people that I've spoken with. There's several people typing, so I'm going to kind of pause a second because I want to give you a chance for some of your answers to come up. This is definitely a good learning tool. And I'm hoping that as we're thinking about starting smaller with some recyclables and really getting into your mindset, that you'll be able to slowly build into something. I have also seen, I know of places in town that are amazing maker spaces, and they have a lot of really expensive equipment that sits and collects dust because either people don't know how to use it, or what they are working on, they actually don't really have any use for that particular equipment. And so depending on what you're trying to teach and the ages that you're working with, or what you're doing, you're going to want appropriate type equipment if you are going to purchase some things. I do agree, Carmen, that you just start. You start with something small and take what you do have around you to create, just like you did with your portrait. because once the kids start using it, then their ideas are going to spread. And that is another conversation that I've had with a lot of teachers is letting the kids have some of that control. If you walk in here during our after school program, or really probably any of our programs, if you didn't understand what we were doing, we look like pure chaos going on. And it is a very organized, intentional chaos, and the kids are busy doing stuff. It's noisy. They're all over the place. We've got stuff out everywhere. It looks like a tornado went through here every single day, and it is amazing. We just did, back to your knitting question, we actually had an entire week on sewing, millering, and tailoring. And one of our older kids taught a bunch of the kids how to finger knit, which none of us adults knew how to do. And we taught them some basic sewing. And we did not get into the sewing machine because our sewing machine was broken. So now it's going to go into our take apart pile. But the really cool part was that our kids had a ball of yarn, and next thing I know, they were creating things to put their ball of yarn in so they could walk around and have it attached to their waist. And that was not something that that was like a part of what we were doing. It was just something that they recognized, hey, this is really hard to be knitting and having my yarn go all over, so let me go create something to keep all my supplies together and have it hanging around our waist. And so it's just a really cool change that we're able to see in the kids throughout the year. So here's some non-tech items that we have. Our space is very collaborative. Everything that we have here has been upcycled, and so it was very intentional so that if anything ever gets broken, I'm not going to cry about it. So I would recommend that in whatever space that you choose to use, that you have tables or whatever that they're working on that you don't care if they get ruined, because it's messy and they will get ruined. They'll get ruined. We have lots of Legos. We have lots of non-functional computers, and so they tear them apart, but then we save all the pieces from the inside so that they can use them for inventing things later. We have oodles of art supplies. And then a lot of our stuff is when people are cleaning out their garage or during cleanup week, and I ask people, would you please give us your stuff instead of throwing it onto the curb. So we've gotten bathroom tiles, we've got a big pile of wood, fabric, soldering iron. I mean, just we have tons and tons of stuff now from that, just asking people to donate their junk. And most people don't think to do that. And then in the summertime, I'll actually ask the kids if they'll have their parents send in a bag or two of recyclables. And then that restocks all of our bins that we have laying around, and we just sort them based on material, and that way the kids know what we have and where to go to look for that. We do have some tech items that we have acquired over time. Makeys. So if you're looking for, wanting to have something techy and you're not sure where to start, that would be my recommendation for a starting point, because it's super easy to use. It's got a quick learning curve, and you can do some really cool things with Makeys. They just plug and play right into a computer, and you use alligator clips and you can clip them onto anything that's conductive, and you don't have to download software, you don't have to anything, and you can create, banana piano is what's in the picture. And it's got a relatively low price point. Same with the Spheros and Ozobots. Those are some intro to some programming. The Chibi lights are actually stickers that are electronic. Circuit scribes are going to be like just a conductive pen. So we have some of these things that, I say drone. Ours is an inexpensive drone that the kids have to program. So these are some of the things that we've gotten into, but it's not our go-to. We don't use these on a daily basis. In fact, this is our reality, is that we use non-techie stuff way more than techie stuff. We use tons and tons of recyclables. This picture, I don't know if you've seen this rocket made out of cardboard. It was at the Plains Art Museum. So we did not make this, but it stands for everything that we try to be, which is let's, blast into space with a cardboard box and styrofoam and other junk that we have picked up. And so the picture on the left, you can see some of the inside and the lights and stuff flash in there, and they're all just Christmas tree lights that have been strung in there. And then the little bottle caps and stuff that have been put over the top of that. So it's, the kids can easily come up with something along these lines. And I think that you have this just really is kind of the epitome of what we're trying to get at. Or at least the birds think so, since they're standing here. So here's some of our themed weeks for our after school program that we've done so far this year. There's other ones. This is just what I could think of off the top of my head. And these are all done with recyclables. I don't know if we've had any of these that we've used any kind of techie type stuff with, but the Rube Goldberg machines you're maybe more familiar with. We had a big map week where we gridded out tables and they built different structures from different countries on top of there. We just finished a board game week, and with that they started playing some board games, so they learned some strategies, and we got dirt cheap and actually donated board games from the thrift store, and then they tore them apart to recreate and create their own new board games that then they had to write new rules for, and they had pieces for, and then they taught each other how to play that. Our tailoring one I already mentioned. We did a homeless holiday week before Christmas, and just exposing them more to homeless population in town. They had to create huts and things that they could potentially live in. It had gotten really cold. We would have had them do this outside, but it was so cold that they had to do it inside. Loss of senses. So every day the kids came in and they literally lost a sense. So we had earplugs, we had blindfolds, all sorts of things, and then they had to figure out how to make life better for somebody who might have that. Our Native American Engineering Week was actually a short week. It was just a couple of days, and we wanted to bring them back to more not so much recently, but how Native Americans would have lived when they first, that came out wrong, years ago. We did a transportation/motion week where we actually took our kids out and got them familiar with public transportation, and we had them riding around town, which has been great because we're so community-based that now we can put all 35 of them on the city bus and we can go places, which is awesome. They did Entrepreneur Week where they just came up with products that they worked on that they could sell, and we had a big market that we set up here on the last day, and we just had our neighbors from around here come and parents and gave them fake money, and they all bought all their stuff. Their passion projects was something that they could choose on their own, and they had to do a visual representation of something they were really passionate about, and then they presented that at Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble, you can do book fairs there, so as part of our fundraiser, we had our kids set up their projects there, and then they were able to talk to the community with what they had worked on. And so those are just some ideas this week. Actually, they're doing Dollar Store Diner. So they had gotten a list of food items from the dollar store, which is just a few blocks from us, and they had to get into their groups and choose 4 ingredients and come up with a recipe, and they're going to cook it. And on Friday we have the chef from Rustica, which is in our backyard here, coming over to do kind of a judging of their creations, their food creations, on a budget. So those are kind of some, just I wanted to share those for ideas of how you can be on a budget using recyclables with non, high-tech equipment, but you have them in the mindset of MakerSpace. And if you guys want any information on any of this stuff, I'm happy to email you any of this. Makerspaces.com is like the best ever website for getting started on Makerspaces, from terminology and defining what it is to a materials list that they have recommended from consumables, and if you want to be able to purchase some more techie type things, they have recommendations on there. So it's a really nice, where do I even start kind of website. And I guess that's it. This is a couple pictures of two of my staff. Yeah, that's pretty much what everybody looks like every day, is with stuff on their head and faces, I guess. So with that, I'm just gonna open it up if you guys have questions, if you want to share, if you have ideas, if you can chat or you can turn on your microphone. So go ahead and fire away. I'm also happy to work with you one-on-one too if you want to venture into the world of some maker spaces and you need help to get going. Does anybody have any ideas for where they might start? Or does anybody feel intimidated, or do you feel a little bit better, like you could maybe do something to get started? There's multiple people typing, so I'm just going to give it a minute here. For sure. That's a conversation, Anna, that I've had with a lot of people, is the endless fundraising and time trying to figure out the technology and what to buy and what do you do and how do you even get started. And for one of the things that we do in our after school program with our budgeting and getting kids to learn more about money skills is our snack time is actually set up as a cafe, and they have jobs that they get to have when they come in. So we have a banker, everybody has a budget for the week, and then we have somebody who works the store part and they have to stock it, price it, and then we have cashiers. And so when the kids come in, they have to go to their banker to get their money, they have to go to the store then to purchase their items, and then they have to go to the cashier to pay for it. And then we also have janitors. And so we have 8 people each day who work in our cafe. And when we started it, we spent it would take us an hour and a half to get every kid through snack, and and there were a lot of things to work out with it, and it was really a something that we spent a lot of time and a lot of focus on, which also then worked well with our About Me week, where I didn't have where we just didn't have quite as many activities because we knew that it would take a little bit longer. And then now they come in and it's just natural, where they have kids come in and um, they can usually choose who wants to do what job, and we watch to make sure that everybody is getting rotated through there. Where when we started, we had a list of people who would work, and now we've kind of relaxed that a little bit. And if they, run out of money by the end of the week, then they know they don't get a snack. And I don't think anybody's actually that's actually happened to anybody, but at least it's something that they're aware of, is to choose wisely. And we did have to go back and make things a little bit easier with, having snacks are all $1, just because you needed a starting point where kids could be successful. And then we also have, we don't have any free time here. We do have choice time, so they can choose something during, more at the end of the day, for them, whatever, for what they want to do with their time. But also in the beginning, then when we had kids taking so long to get through to get their snack, we would have those activities that are out, and they stay in one particular location in the lab with their snacks. They can't just run all over. They have to be at the cafe, which is just an area that we whatever put. It's just a corner of the lab. So it's just an idea for you. If that's, I can share more information on our cafe also, if you want to learn more about that. There's tons of MakerSpace things that you can integrate, budgeting and anything money, math. They don't know that they're doing math half of the time, but it's integrated into so many of our projects, and which I love. And if anybody ever wants to, if you guys want to come by the Inspire Lab at any time, just come on over or shoot me an email, and I can make sure that I'm, here to meet you, and I'll give you a tour and show you what we have. I love money math. Kids love money. I think we're about out of time. Are there any other questions? I know that there were quite a few people typing, so I don't want to cut you off if you're. My email address is on here, and so feel free to email me at any time if you want some ideas to get going. Perfect. You can come by at any time or shoot me an email, and I'll make sure that I'm here. I don't know what day of the week that is. But yeah, shoot me a quick email and I'll make sure that I'm here, and I'll give you a tour. And I'm absolutely willing to help you with the snack stuff. And we have lots of lessons learned when we set up our cafe. The lab is in Moorhead. It's right over it's on Main Avenue, right when you come into Moorhead from Fargo. We're kind of that downtown Moorhead area by Hockey Zone and Grand Junction. I will actually. There's our address. Yeah. And there's our website. And if you forget my email, I think all of the email options on the website hit my inbox. So, or if you lose the web address, just put in Inspire Lab Moorhead in Google and it'll come right up. So, well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to talking with more of you guys in the future.
This is Allison coming on quick again from the Southeast Education Cooperative. Please feel free to share in that chat box too any other ideas you'd like to see on these future webinars from the After School Network, and we can definitely start putting our heads together and getting some thoughts around who would be great speakers for them. So if you also have speakers ideas as well, please share those and we can get them back to our leadership team and they can start working on future webinars for you. Again, check out our website, ndafterschoolnetwork.com, for anything else. And a big thank you to Carrie for being on today, and use her email as you wish. She's great at responding. She is in lots of places around the community helping out and sharing all the great things they're doing here at the lab. So thank you again, everyone, for coming on. Stay warm. Have a great rest of your week.